Shabbat Shalom, you guys. We're here for our weekend reading. We're using the Oracle of the Radiant Sun. I was out running errands and things today, and I wanted to take a nice volley walk through the forest. So I didn't do our post this morning on Instagram, but I will write it up once I finish the video and post it there, and it'll be cut and pasted into this video description as usual. And just some housekeeping notes: if you guys like this channel, then please subscribe. Help me grow and get these messages out to other people who need them. Any action that you take on the video helps it get spread out in the algorithm and increases my reach by a significant amount. So I always appreciate that. I have fun, exciting news. So if you've been following me for any given amount of time, you know I've been trying to grow my platforms for years, and I've been trying to grow this YouTube channel for a couple of years and monetize it. And it just occurred to me recently, like maybe I could also monetize other platforms. And so after nightly prayers of specifically asking for God to help me monetize YouTube and Instagram and Facebook and TikTok, I randomly got the update that I would have a first stage of YouTube monetization coming up soon once I hit 500 subscribers. And I think it is something around maybe 3,000 hours of watch time per unit of time. I can't remember. I think it's something like that. It's something that's not quite the full monetization. So I'm getting closer to 500 subscribers. So thank you guys so much. And then I was able to monetize my Instagram Reels. So you can, I'm eligible, and then the button is there to send gifts. So that was very exciting to me. And then also on Facebook, I was able to monetize my Reels there, and I can get stars, and stars are 1 cent. So yeah, it's not substantial, but it is very exciting because it's symbolic. It's a talisman. I'm getting there 1 cent at a time, literally. Oh my gosh, you guys, it's incredible. And so I was wondering too, how much does 1 cent cost? And I think that I found out that for $1, you get 75 stars, and each star is worth 1 cent. And I think it's big with gamers, and it drives me insane that gamers get paid just to sit there and play video games, and people just watching them play video games, and I'm like, oh my god. But yeah, so I guess Facebook will take 1/4, and then out of that $1, I can get 1 penny at a time. So yeah, and you know what's hilarious is this card. This is me being well, I was able to monetize Facebook, and now I can get, for a star, I can get 1 penny at a time. How you like me now? How you like me now? Okay, all right, on to the reading. Enough about that. Also, you guys, my Venmo and PayPal are in all the description boxes of every video if you ever just want to, support the channel, if you ever feel the urge. It's never expected, but sometimes actually people ask me how they can do that. So I'm always appreciate it. It's gives me a surge of joy like you wouldn't believe. It's true. Okay, back at it. See, I'm so excited. I've been so tired recently. It's giving me hope. All right, impulsivity, which is Aries, Mars and Aries. We have protection, which is the moon in Aries. Notice a lot of Aries energy. Oh, and if you haven't seen my YouTube short today or my TikTok video is usually the full version of the short. The short is a chunk that gets cut off. So you'll go follow my TikTok. But the short today we got for our daily card was Ace of Wands, a rebirth, a renewal of energy and spirit, right? All this Aries energy. Okay, followed by Jupiter in Pisces, or no, Jupiter in Gemini. That's bluff. And finished off with the moon in Capricorn, practicality. Underneath impulsivity or impulsiveness, we got 3 of Pentacles. Da, da, da. Underneath protection, we've got 5 of Swords. Underneath bluff, we got 3 of Cups. Underneath practicality, we've got 6 of Pentacles. And then to finish it all off, we have King of Wands. And it's interesting too, because in this particular deck, in the Dreaming Way Tarot, the artist doesn't necessarily do the feminine kings like as a separate character, but the artist does interchange the genders. She's very fluid with them. But as you know, if you followed me for long in the Mystical Moments Tarot, there is an additional character which is in every suit, and it's the feminine king of the suit. And to me, I've been reading that as the highest mastered, integrated masculine and feminine powers of that particular suit's characteristics, I guess. And so this card is very much that way. It's a very feminine king. And this king is a force to be reckoned with. Someone who is seated in their power with confidence, with pride, with authority. This is very much like the Emperor, but with a feminine edge almost. And this is someone who is seated in their power with charisma and very charismatic and very much in ownership of their willpower and drive and determination and grit and passion and desire. So this king has power and grit and desire and a lot of emotion, but it's contained and it's directed in an intentional way. So impulsiveness, so this card is talking about going after what you want to create and taking competitive action doing that. This is about that go-getter energy of the Aries, like the newborn energy, go, 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 like I want this, I want that, I want to do this, I want to do this. And so, in an immature way, an impulsivity can cause this person to like have that sort of shiny object syndrome, like Knight of Wandsy, like shadow, where we get distracted and we dilute our effectiveness by putting our attention and focus on too many different things. So we dilute our focus because we're like, oh, I want to do this and I want to do this and I want to do this, and you're doing too many things, so you're ineffective at what's most important. So, a lot of the messages this week have been about cutting away what is getting in the way of really getting a competitive edge in the field that we really value the most. So hone in, what are your main things that you want to manifest right now? Stop scattering your energy and focus and put all of that impulsivity and drive and that determination into going after the thing that you're creating now. Because there's a lot of potential and energy in the air, especially with all the raw change that the eclipses have up in the air right now. There's a lot of towers crumbling, and when things in our life break open, all of that energy is there to be redirected into something else. And so things that are changing within us right now are cracking open all of that creative force. And things that are changing on the outside are cracking open all that creative force, right? All these vessels. Remember the box metaphor the other day? If you were watching the video, we were talking about the vessel, like holding the light, and breaking open and revealing the light, right? And so the vessels may come and go, but the light, if we hold on to our faith and our grit and our determination. That light is there for the next vessel, right? So all of this creative energy is up in the air, and the opponent wants to grab it and ruin it as well. So, all of the dark and the light side, they're all competing for us to channel this light in their direction, because the non-material realms, they can't get a hold of that potential light. It's only channeled through us, the human beings in the physical realm, where we do the soul work, where we do the spiritual work. That's why we're so important here. That's our divine mission as human beings on earth, is to go through this process of like soul correction and healing and shadow work and all of that stuff. That's us alchemizing the density of the cosmos. So that's why shame and guilt are such a waste, and they're such almost like a sin in and of itself to feel shame and guilt, because it makes us even lower, and it separates us from the truth of what is real, is that the Creator found even our flaws to be so important that we have to be here, that that we deserve to be here, right? And that our flaws are not something that make us unworthy, but something that are included in our worthiness. So impulsivity. There's some need to take competitive action right now. Don't be, don't get tired. Don't get bogged down in all the change. Don't get discouraged, and don't be, in reactivity or frozen in fear or indecision. Just keep moving forward. Keep pushing the envelope forward. But there's something in the air right now where there's like this sense of getting in the game, being competitive, taking a physical action that gives you an edge, right? Don't sit back and let it all happen and be passive right now. There is something to be said about taking the feminine and masculine energy and merging that, and then getting the feminine intuition and downloads, and then taking action on them and putting it out there in the world, and then being able to receive like the attention for that, or receiving what comes back in return. But either way, we are receiving information and intuition and direction about the actions that we need to take. And so when we do receive those intuitive downloads, we need to act on those impulses, but we need to be wise enough not to trip up on acting on those ego impulses, right? Because there are warnings in these cards too of watching out for getting caught up in someone else's predicament and becoming enmeshed in that, right? And so it's like about being really on top of our game right now, and staying in our own lane at the moment, and being in our own sovereign consciousness, and tuning inward to know the truth. And that's something that we're going to have to tune inward into our intuition to decide, because there may be outer influences that are trying to sway us in our thinking. Protection, or actually, before we move on, the Three of Pentacles underneath impulsiveness. This Three of Pentacles is sitting here like this woman, it's like, she's like, okay, it's like, when is this going to start paying off? It's like, I've got this little, like, I've got this little bit of resources. It's just like spilling out. It's only going this far. I'm only getting this much back in return. It's like, she's like, all right, like waiting for something to happen and wanting something to grow. And the Three of Pentacles, the threes are the first stage of completion. 6 is second stage of completion. 9 is the third stage of completion, and 10 is the overflow. So 3 is the first stage of completion in a material way. There are material results, like things, there's maybe fruit starting to show, but there just aren't, it's not significant yet. It's not substantial, right? And so we need to continue to keep our determination to keep moving forward, because we're only in the early stages. We need to push through and power forth. There's like threes like over and over again, and a bunch of characters in this in this spread. And so to me, it feels like there's something about interrelational dynamics going on, about acting in some cases, but holding back and not being impulsive, and acting in others. And being careful not to let your impulsiveness trip you up when it comes to collaborating or working with or what have you. Protection and Five of Swords. So again, Five of Swords, there's like a competitive element here, and there's a protectiveness. There's like layers to this reading today. It's like there's stuff going on within the manifestations that we're creating, but there's also things going on within like relationship dynamics. And this can be like talking about how like, well, I'll start with like our manifestations. So there's some call to protect what we've been working so hard for. It's like having boundaries around our energy, having boundaries around our focus and our priorities. It's like stay focused on what you've been working so hard for, and don't let the other distractions in your life rob you from all the work that you've put in, or any outside threats or challenges or obstacles or contenders to what you're doing. It's like protect what you've been creating. This also depicts a strong contender. So it's not always implying that you're the person back here feeling put on against by all the competition. You know, in a way, it's like a lot of these cards are hinting to the fact that it's like if we, you know, stand with a backbone and stand in the grit that we've been earning all this time, then we are actually very strong contenders, and we can be very competitive and have a competitive edge in what we're trying to create and what we're trying to do and pushing the needle forward. But we're going to have to stand in that power and claim that power. And, you know, this mother tiger energy is coming forward. I can't help but see that it's like, this baby, like to me in this illustration, I saw almost like this tired, sick baby, and it's like a big baby. A lot of us have been feeling like tired big babies recently, right? And so this mother is like, let the big baby rest. Like this other like sibling or like child is like wanting to tug at the baby, you know, like I want the baby to wake up and like pay attention to me, and the mother is like, hey, leave the baby alone. They need to like relax and chill. And so part of that is like protect your energy so that you have the energy to keep showing up, to keep, you know, being competitive and to compete in, you know, against your own self, to be your best. But, you know, there's something about being able to show up on a daily basis and protecting your energy to do that. You might also have an impulse to protect something or someone around you from harmful influences, or you might feel defensive against like harmful or toxic influences around you, or you feel defensive against competition. And so the best thing to do right now is just change your consciousness to dissolve that feeling of defensiveness against the competition. In A Course in Miracles, there's a passage that says, in my defenselessness, therein lies my strength. And so when we are not in a realm of consciousness where we are having an enemy, there is no enemy. But at the same time, be aware that some people don't have pure intentions. And so they might try to come after what is yours or compete to push you out of what they're trying to get into your, you know, like when people spread out in their territory or whatever, right? So protect what you've created, protect your position in a situation or in a place, but also do that quietly by doing your work well. Keep your head down, stay in a sense of happy, passionate creation and sharing and bringing value, and compete that way in a not domineering way. Like, don't let any emotions ride roughshod over others. Bluff and Three of Cups came up together. So there's been this message, bluffs come up a few times recently, and every single time, like, there's something in me that is like, call their bluff, call their bluff. There's something in a situation where it's not as it seems, or someone is making something out to be like a way that it isn't, or their opinion, they're being very forceful with it, or something of that nature. And it's like because there's been so many messages recently, this week and last week, about protecting yourself as an empath to not be dragged into enmeshment again. And so, you know, if you're healing from codependency, then you may fall prey to being prone to be easily manipulated by people who have agendas, right? Who have competing agendas. And so just be aware of that. And you don't necessarily have to literally call the person on their bluff or call a situation out on its bluff, but maybe you're seeing through things or seeing things more realistically and more practically, right? But you're taking a good hard look at it. Also, the bluff card in a positive sense is about it's about overcoming that imposter syndrome by sort of that fake it till you make it kind of thing. It's like, use your charisma and theater to be able to fill in the gaps. Like, if you are sort of mastering a skill and you're starting to get recognition, like, don't let imposter syndrome take your confidence, right? Like, for instance, this with Three of Cups, these are like celebrations and group activities and fun and gatherings. So like, and this is a professional conjurer. So to me, I'm like, oh my goodness, like maybe something good is going to surge, for the channel or what have you, right? It's like the channel slowly but surely, insubstantially getting monetized in small levels, like we were talking about, right? But it's like encouragement that it's like, okay, you're in these gatherings, you're in this like, entertaining realm, right, where people gather for entertainment to watch the conjurer do the sleight of hand, the tricks, right? So you know, if there is something that you are trying to pitch or create or do, and like, for instance, if you're trying to become a wedding photographer, it's a really scary thing to go in and start photographing right off the bat. And or like, if you're like a musician, like a music photographer, like if you do like a live event photography, I cannot think of the word right now, but for like music industry, like if you're like a rock photographer, it might be intimidating to go into a situation like that at first, because it takes a lot of skill and technique and quick on your feet ability to capture things that are only going to happen once, very briefly, and never again. And so at first it's like, oh my God, I'm not like up to par, I can't do this. And you have to fake it till you make it, right? Just give yourself those first few out the gate. But I think that that's like a kind of a good general like example of that. Yeah, and then also this kind of was like a card where, because like there's this protective energy in this reading, and this weird competitive energy, and like the collaborator, like keep the continual theme of the threes, it feels like you're figuring out who is authentic in your circles and who isn't, or like, you know what I mean? Like, you're figuring out who are your friends and who aren't, or who are your supporters and who are not. Like, I don't know, you're kind of seeing like the truth about certain relationships that have been in your life, and you're able to now put them into better context or more realistic context. And then, you know, if there are narcissists or manipulators in your life that are trying to make you believe things about yourself or whatever, it's like you're seeing through that now. If you're like, for instance, like the theme has been a lot of this empathic healing and healing from enmeshment. And so people who are sensitive empaths are like magnets for narcissists who want to manipulate them and make them feel like they are the problem and not the narcissist. One of my favorite movies, or like ways that film and television have depicted the narcissist, is in this movie called Persuasion. It's based on a Jane Austen novel. But one of the characters is like the sister, and she's like this total narcissist, and she is always going around like using this pop psychology terminology to describe how she's being gaslit by everyone else. She's been so empowered by like group therapy talk and like pop psychology that they have now like enabled these monsters. They've thrown water on the gremlins. My God, what have we done? Yes, so, it's even harder now if you are a compassionate, empathic person to be able to defend yourself against a white-hot narcissist coming at you with clinical terminology, right? When they're trying to, like, make you feel like you're the one, So that might be the case. So watch out for that. And if you're feeling like you're in a situation where you're like, am I crazy or is this happening? Like, maybe you're not crazy. Practicality. Practicality is like almost burying your emotions or figuring out a way to manage an emotional situation by taking practical action, but be careful not to bypass your spiritual work or the deep inner work by getting completely caught up in physical material world pursuits, or thinking that every problem you're just gonna meet it and deal with it on a surface level. It's like, yes, there are we do need to treat the material symptoms of the things happening in our lives with material action. But if we only take material action to deal with those situations, then it's only like putting a Band-Aid on it. And the root cause is energetic and spiritual and emotional, and it's a soul level thing. And so if we don't deal with it on that level, it's going to continue to fester, and it's going to continue to create problems from the root that we're going to continue to have to like change the Band-Aid, and it's going to continue to like be a leak, So it's good to take these practical actions, especially in order to alleviate some of the stress. Like when we have overwhelm, the more like if we can calmly take an inspired action, a proactive action from a conscious choice place, then that starts to alleviate overwhelm. But we don't want to get lost in spinning only around those practical actions, because we don't want to skim over the surface. We want to go deep to figure out what the real problem is lying under the surface. So there is this Six of Pentacles is coming with this. And so we are coming to a point where it's like we're looking for equal give and take with our relationships, right? With our relationships to others, with our relationship to our work, to understanding that in our manifestations, what we are putting in is going to be what we are getting in return. And what we are putting into relationships should equate what we're getting in return. And if they're not, we need to reevaluate those relationships. I was going to read the Oracle of the Radiant Sun from the book because there's some like really random like notes that might be good for different people watching. Either way, I think that from a practical standpoint, keep showing up in a diligent fashion to what you're trying to create, because it's about to start paying off. What you're putting in is coming back around. It's coming into fruition. And so you're about to start seeing benefits, but just don't give up now. We are just over the hump of like kind of like conflict and change, right? 6 is just after 5. So it's like we're getting past and we're getting over the hump, but it's like it's because we're so determined and we're continuing on in our grit and our persistence. but we're also having this renewal of passion and determination because we're tapping into depths that we didn't know we had. And it's really, we're just like, whoa, almost like on a runner's high. We're like, oh my God, like I'm manic. I could do anything. I could fly. So, just ride the wave if you can tap into resources of inner strength. And then the King of Wands here, just like this contender, this real force of nature and confidence, right? We are really, getting settled in and comfortable in our skin in that way, and just seated in our power and calm and ready to receive divine inspiration and take action, and then receive the benefit of what we're putting in and what we're getting out. Okay, let's read some of these cards because I think they're important today. Impulsiveness. Okay, action and self-will. A wild figure on horseback gallops as if in a race. The symbol to the left is one of the greater seals, symbolizing the 6 steps of creation, and is a protector of all things. The horseshoe symbolizes good fortune, resembling the bowl-like crescent of the waxing moon. We're in the waxing moon right now, actually, because the full moon is tomorrow with the lunar eclipse. Okay, so this planet sign combination describes people who are energetic and impulsive in their every action. They feel a need to get things done, and this leads them to start numerous new projects. Acting before thinking inevitably leads to disasters, but these Martians are resilient, and wins always predominate over their losses. Somewhat competitive and display a need to be seen in a leading position. I think that comes up later in the practicality card because it has to do with someone who suppresses their emotions on the outside because it's very important for them to be seen as a strong person on the outside. And so a lot of times they don't want to show any weakness. So outer appearances are very important. So a lot of times they appear stoic because that they feel that gives them a more powerful position in the eyes of others. They are outgoing and feel more comfortable at the front with group endeavors. Natural leaders take on this role with any situation which requires positive action. These people take great pride in their ability and are not happy unless they do more and quicker than everyone else. There is, however, a belligerence in this Mars-Aries nature that can go over the top, and these characters may ride roughshod over other people in order to get their own way. So be careful, because this can be riding roughshod over others in order to get your own way, and at all costs, right? And we don't want that, because that's a negative seed level to create from, and that will create chaos and whatever results in what you did. Let's see, great pride in their abilities. At their best, they realize through experience that their potential for power works a great deal more effectively when they exert discrete control. Some kind of physical or competitive action is necessary for the well-being of the person asking the question. A challenge that requires courage, proving oneself by tackling the unknown, acting on impulse in a sudden situation, leading others with enthusiasm into a new venture. Ooh, very fun. What's next? Protection. A gentle mother dotes on her children. The waxing moon above with the symbol of the tiger below indicates immense instinctive protective power of the feminine side of human nature. The combination of moon and Aries indicates a powerful need to respond emotionally and immediately to a situation. I think that's not necessarily telling you that you need to respond emotionally and powerfully to a situation immediately, although use your discernment, you may, but it could mean that you have the urge to do so, or that's part of your impulsiveness, is that you need to overcome, is your impulsiveness to respond very emotionally in situations when you're triggered. It's like we're overcoming that. We've been doing a lot of inner child work, right? Inner child healing to overcome that impulsivity, right? And to have more self-control when we are triggered. People with this planet sign combination can be quite volatile and impulsive, expressing what they feel in a direct and willful manner. Quick flare-ups are fortunately just as quickly forgotten. The person this card describes has feelings that are strongly colored by early childhood conditioning and an intense need to protect and defend anything that represents family. Now, this can be a situation where you have this protective need to protect what's yours and what you've created. There can be a protective need to protect someone else in a situation against someone who has, like, what they were saying, like a tendency to have these impulsive, volatile expressions of their emotions in a very willful and direct manner. Flare-ups that are just like intense, and then all of a sudden they're back to feeling elated. It's like the highs and lows of someone who is, kind of maybe unstable or coming at you in a way that's like, right? Like, this is what it's like to be on the other end of a narcissist. It's like this person who's like on and off and hot and cold and like emotionally volatile at you all the time. And they're like, what's the big deal? And you're like, what do you mean, what's the big deal? Like, I'm like so depleted from this like insanity. What do you mean, what? Right? Let's see. But again, it's like when you have these strong flare-ups and feelings, this is colored by early childhood conditioning and an intense need to protect and defend anything that represents family. So I think that this is also pointing to early childhood wounds and conditioning that create defensiveness in you. So to pay attention to when you're feeling defensive, it probably is connected to early childhood wounds that if you can heal those right now, it can help you break patterns that are holding you back in career and money. Also in the career place, that was what I was going to say earlier. In the career place, it's best to show up and be competitive by quietly like using your skills productively in a positive way rather than taking a competitive attitude or stance or energy. Let's see. Moody and changeable, fluctuating with the environment. Moon Arian has a strong impressionability that could indicate some psychic ability or potential for medium-like powers. This is a great deal, there's a great deal of independence here. This can describe an emotional bully. Need for recognition could also lead to approval seeking. So again, the danger here is if you are approval seeking, you are at risk of being preyed upon by emotional bullies. So just be aware if you are one of the people in that situation. If you're watching this channel, then more than likely you're the person being emotionally bullied and you're probably like, am I doing something wrong? I need to be a better person. Oh my God, I need to be kinder to my bullies. Okay, let's see. The Moon Aries need for recognition could also lead to approval seeking. In a reading, this card might suggest that the questioner watch that the sympathy with another person's predicament does not leave him or her vulnerable to manipulation. I'm going to say that again. Watch that sympathy with another person's predicament does not leave him or her vulnerable to manipulation. One could find oneself having to protect one's position. The card may indicate a link with the questioner's talent for buying property or running a business from home. Events, defensive action, maternal instinct, business enterprise, arguments over property, reluctantly moving, family upsets, or responsibility. Bluff. I'm just going to read my underlined notes on this. A Minoan goddess holds 2 butterflies, or are they really axes? The hands show back and front, as does the professional conjurer performing a sleight of hand trick. This is Jupiter and Gemini, so this is expansion and gain here, especially in the realm of mental awareness. A lot of Gemini energy was in our Wednesday reading. The basic drive for the Jupiter Geminians in improving life will always be to keep the mind active and informed. They have an intellectual curiosity that leads to a continued mental development at all stages of life. Often, they wish to be seen to know everything, and with their quick wit can extract enough information to bluff their way through any situation. Jupiter in Gemini people often achieve great knowledge and mental achievements without formal education. Talented, self-taught, and intellectual. Boost their experience with travel and social relationships, which contribute to their mental expansion. Travel is beneficial for the Jupiter Geminians, enriching the mind as well as relaxing the natural tension that accompanies their mental restlessness. Some form of meditation is a benefit when these hyperactive heads get dizzy. Contacts with close relatives are likely to be convivial. Describes good analysts of current thought and perceptive social and political commentators. So again, and that called to mind these two cards to me, and even this card. It's like these are all cards with a couple of people involved in a situation. And it's like this, what was it? An accurate commentator of social, a good analyst of current thought and perceptive social and political commentators. So there was another recent card, and it was like consult a friend or an expert in the situation. And so again, with all of these cards giving hints around being careful not to be emotionally manipulated by others. Maybe there's a person that you need to talk to, or maybe you have a feeling that you have the actual temperature on the situation. You're just doubting yourself, right? And it's like maybe somebody is calling the bluff on this person, and you're like reluctant to believe that. But I think that it's like, no, just like go with your gut. A need to throw oneself into an unfamiliar situation or challenge and use one's wit to bluff through the first stage. A brain surgeon has to make the first operation as confidently as if it were their 50th. A situation in which one has to impress others with knowledge, discussions about business or legal affairs, a lecture or talk to a group or society, like me on the channel, right? A lecture or a talk to a group. And then practicality. This is our last one and we're done. Actually, I don't think I need to read this, because this is about the not only skimming over the surface and taking practical action. If I can find, I think my bookmark fell out. Where is this? Moon in Virgo. Okay, here it is. I'll read it really quick. It's Moon in Capricorn. Security and duty, perseverance. Above is a rustic scene, represents order and practicality, with ruler and servants, tilling the soil, and millers of wheat. Below, a pattern alludes to worker bees and the moon lotus flowers that bring forth honey. So just the underlined portions. Can be a little cautious and restrained in expressing true emotions. They always seek practical and material answers to emotional problems. Rarely will this person show what he or she feels to be weak expressions of feelings in any situation. They care about how other people see them and tend to hold in feelings in order to maintain an image of outward calm. The position of this moon, the moon in this sign, also indicates an oversensitive reaction to imagined or real slights from others, which I put in parentheses because it relates back to the other messages of someone trying to emotionally manipulate a situation. It's like maybe they're making too big of a deal of something, or, maybe they're misinterpreting it, or, being overly sensitive, right? Or imagining whatever. So indicates an oversensitive reaction to imagined or real slights from others. The moon Capricornian's position in society contributes to his or her emotional well-being, and people with this planet sign aspect usually have an emotional need for prominence and recognition. Moon Capricornians have strong family links with the mother in particular, representing a profound influence. So the mother healing card came up recently as well. So if you had a mother who would strongly want to had control, or was like hover parent or helicopter mother or manipulative, or a codependent mother who wanted you to be enmeshed to please them all the time, like that, you might be healing those issues right now. Drawing this card suggests the person to whom it refers will be person to whom it refers will be brought prominently before the public eye. Ooh, maybe the channel's gonna get a burst of growth. Indicates the assistance of a prominent or successful woman in advancing the career of the person in question. So yeah, this could be, you know, reaching out to a female mentor, right? King of Wands. Maybe you are you know, finding someone like this channel or another channel or something like that that is giving you advice, that's giving you confidence and direction. And maybe that you have a few different coaches that are in that area, but maybe it will happen to be a female. You never know. All right, you guys, that is all for today. I do one-on-one readings remotely via Zoom. If you are interested, I generally keep Thursdays and Fridays open to book those. The best way to reach out to me about those is to my Instagram account, Liz_Taylor_Magick. And you can just DM me. Someone recently found a button on my Light Love Magick account on Instagram that was like a book now button, and I didn't even know it's there. I can't see the button, so I have no idea how or what it does, or like how to like and I accidentally touched it, and then it booked now, and I was like, oh no. And we talked, it was all sorted out. But yeah, so the best way to reach me is just DM me, like very simple. You know, inquire about dates and times and things like that, and I'll give you I'll send you a quick message on just the details and the rundown and all that basic stuff. But yeah, so I keep those 2 days open in case people are interested in that. All right, y'all, take care. Ciao.